Alright, welcome back to another episode of ADHD and Crochet. Today we're going to be doing something a little different, because we are sewing together a hat rather than a stuffed animal. This is a witch hat that I've turned into a sort of harvest witch looking vibe. Because I'm kind of going for that harvest or cottagecore magical look. Now the hat itself is not going to be sewn, it's already all put together, but the accessories are going to be sewn. And we're going to start down here. I'm probably doing this a more difficult way than necessary to make sure that I don't have to fight to figure out where things are supposed to go. But don't judge the process. Now, I put this little vine here because there is a wire hiding under it that kind of helps me shape the hat, as well as keeping some charms on the top of the hat, which we'll take a look at here when we get there. So I'm going to just kind of stitch around this vine. I'm not going to take the leaves off, which is part of where it may get more difficult for me. Make it more difficult. In part because the leaves are slightly different sizes. I want the smallest ones at the tip of the hat, at the point of the hat, and the largest ones down here at the base. And I don't feel like sitting there comparing them for 5 minutes to pin them back on. We're just going to carefully work around the things that I don't want to unpin. It's kind of the same with this band here. I don't feel like unpinning it more than just a couple pins because it took too long to pin it on there in the first place. Now, with this, I did start using a pattern for the hat base, and I got most of the way done with the pointed part of the hat. I got it to a point that it would fit my head, and then I made some adjustments from there. I didn't want it to get any bigger, otherwise it wouldn't fit my head, and I still had like 4 rows left. So I just kind of did double crochets for the remainder of those rows without any increases. And then I did not follow the pattern at all for the brim because I wanted it to be a flat brim. And the brim that they were giving was a little more floppy. Or at least more like ruffled almost. The pattern itself was really easy though, and I will definitely give credit to the maker of said pattern in the description here. But the vine, the leaves, and the band, I did not use a pattern for. I just did my own thing. Be very careful that I don't poke myself, as I've already done. So I don't know if this is going to take 1 or 2 videos to complete, but we will see. I guess it kind of just depends on how quickly each part is going to go together. I suspect the vine and the band are going to take the longest. There are 13 leaves, but they are relatively small comparatively to the rest of the hat. I also put little charms on the brim that I will be sewing on. I will probably go back with a finishing stitch on the brim known as the crab stitch. It makes a cute little border on the edge of the brim there. But I haven't quite decided if I want to do it in brown, in the dark brown or the light brown. I initially thought I wanted to add like a lace ruffle to this hat, but one, I don't have any of that white lace, and two, I think the charms may work a little better. With all the pins in it, this hat is able to stay upright. The wire is not very thick. It's a very thin jewelry wire that I used. And really, it just kind of helps the hat flop in the direction I want it to, and it follows the seam that the pattern created while making the hat. So this just kind of gives it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing look to it, as well as giving it that harvest vibe that I want. Probably could have gone with any sort of long decal to hide a seam and a wire. I just chose to do a vine, but you could probably do like a long dragon something and cover it with flowers if you wanted to, which I do have some flowers that we will also be attaching to the side. I will be sewing those. For anyone actually watching, it would be these flowers, a little bunch of flowers. Those are going to be fun to attach. But those are the very last thing that I'm going to be attaching. They're going to be going on the seam of the band, which is not the back of the hat. In fact, the stem, where the stem starts, is the back of the hat. So the way I made the vine, I just kind of did a chain that went all the way up the hat the way I wanted it to. And then I just did single crochet down, every now and then chaining about 4, and then I slip stitched down those 3 of those stitches, ignoring the first one, to make these little branches, and then I'd continue single crocheting through the next stitch in the main chain. And then when I got to the bottom, I did a couple increases. I think I did 3 or 4. And I went around the other side of the chain, and in between the branches on the other side, I put a branch on the side I was working on. I did not add an extra branch on this side here, just because I knew that this was the side that was going to go in the band of the hat be kind of hidden, so adding a branch and a leaf there would be kind of silly of me, so I just didn't. Kind of playing a game of don't catch all the strings as we go up the vine here, and I will be sewing down the other side as well because I gotta attach all those branches too. So that's part of why this one's probably going to be the part that takes the longest. And tried to make a knot there. Doing it again. Just keep going around the edge here. Thankfully, this is proving less challenging than I initially thought it was going to be, sewing around the leaves and everything. Now the branches do seem to be posing a little bit of a challenge, just because they are rather flimsy. They're not too bad. My string wants to knot on me, so we're going to tie that. There we go. So for the hat base, I used a 5mm hook and yarn to fit. And then for the light brown parts, so the leaves, the vine, and the band, I used a 3mm hook. The yarn, I think, is supposed to be used with a 4mm hook, but it worked just fine with a 3. Made the stitching a little tighter. Now, I have really loose tension, so that probably helps. I'm working with yarn that is technically too big for the hook that you're working with. The positioning I have to keep this hat in is a little awkward, just because the hat itself is so tall if it stands up straight. And I have to make sure that you guys can see everything I'm doing on it. Keep it below the camera. Kind of flattens it a little bit. Luckily, the hat's not going to be starched or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about it being flattened in areas. I can just mess with it a little. Aren't that time? Kind of excited for this costume because it's the first time I will be wearing a crinoline or a short hoop skirt. Not quite a petticoat, I don't think. I think the petticoats are fluffier, more fabric, less hoops. We'll see how that goes. And I'm also going to, I have some brown boots that are like a fake suede looking material. But they are like a orangey light brown. I'm going to dye them a darker brown. They go with mornings. I got them originally for a very specific costume. It was a hippie costume. And they matched the shirt of that perfectly. But, because, you can't go barefoot to school. Got boots that match. But they also go well as like pirate boots. If you fold the tops down, I think they'll do nicely as cottagecore witch boots. I just need to get them to the right color. Instead of buying another pair of $30, $40 boots, which are probably now like 50, 60 because inflation. We're just gonna get $6, $7 dye and do the work ourselves. Since I'm going to a darker color, not a lighter color. Oh no, it doesn't exist. I definitely need to get new compression gloves soon. Luckily, the gloves are only like $10. But I'm probably going to not get them for a while. I already just purchased a membership to aquarium that's near me. Aquarium and a canyon. It's really pretty. But it cost me almost like $200. And I'm also purchasing parts to my costume. Apparently, a bit of my hair got stuck on here and it's causing things to be weird. There's a little piece of me that gets put into every project. My hair gets crocheted into it on accident. My hair does come all the way down my back. It is quite long, so it is inevitable that my hair will end up in projects. I usually have it tied back while I'm actively crocheting. It is less likely for me to crochet a lock of my hair that's still attached to my head. It still happens, that's why I said less likely. I did make myself some tea to enjoy this morning, but it's still too hot. And then by the time I actually get to it and acknowledge it, it will be too cold because logarithmic, whatever it's called, math is hard. Got all the way up to calculus and then I failed calculus. I just never went. I hate math. am enjoying the fact that it actually gets chilly at night. I'm able to wear my hoodies without needing to crank my AC. Just open a window. Be nice. We're kind of getting to the tip of the hat here. You can kind of see little charms. I've got these little beads, and then I've got this little charm, this little leaf charm. The leaf charm was from an old necklace that I had, and I had taken the leaf off the chain to use the chain for something else. And I don't remember which chain it goes on, but now it's going to go on my hat. I was caught between it and a bee. Originally, I was going to use a moon pendant, a small moon pendant. But it was bright blue. It didn't really go with the vibes I was looking for. I started digging through my jewelry. And then, to be honest, I don't even know where this leaf pendant came from. I just remember it being on a necklace. Make sure that I'm not getting the other side of the hat when I sew these, because this is getting very small and I have to hold it a certain way. I also keep poking myself with pins in this because they're all very close together now. Honestly, I'm probably going to do the leaves after I do the stem, just because they're all only held on by one pin and I don't want them falling off when I do the base of the hat. We'll probably do that next. The charms on the rim of the hat are probably going to be the second to last thing. The very last thing is going to be the flowers that are going to get attached to the band. Now, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I love dressing up and love spooky things. I don't do well with spooky things. I don't do well with horror movies or haunted houses or anything like that. But I love decorating my house with the spooky vibe. We have a skeleton on our porch sitting on the bench. And then we have some little plasticky turn back beware signs. They're just kind of staked into the ground. I've got some cool little lanterns that are purple that have spiders on them. With how many real spiders there are out here, there's probably a couple real ones going on there. I've got some Halloween string lights. They're like purple and orange and green. I got the string lights individual colors. So like one string of lights was purple, one string of lights was orange, and one was green. But then I sat there for 2 hours and made it so it goes like orange, purple, green, orange, purple, green on each string. And I'd do it again. The string lights were only $5 and I got the look I wanted out of it. I also have some spider lights, but I guess one of the lights is not working, so the whole string doesn't want to work now. They're just the same, but they have plastic spiders of varying colors that you can pop over the lights. So really, I could just go get another set of string lights and put the spiders on it if I can't figure out which bulb is the one that's not working, which I might do because the lights are cheap and I don't care that much about finding the one bulb out of like 20 of them. Well, this one really wanted to be a problem, didn't it? We're just going to completely fray my yarn here a few dozen times until it cooperates. Isn't that fun? There we go. Find my needle again. Now we are halfway through the video by this point, and I'm not even halfway done. Well, I'm barely halfway done with the vine. So this is probably going to be a multi-part video, depending on how fast everything else goes. Which is fine. I probably won't let this go more than 2 parts, so if I'm not done in the next video, I'll just finish it off camera and leave a picture on the bottom of that video, at the end of that video of the final product. Now this one won't be for sale. It is a personal project. Oops. And honestly, I don't think you want a hat that I've been putting on and trying on. I don't usually make clothing items anyways. I feel like they take too long and I don't like working on flat objects. This one was fine because it was not flat. Hats are a little easier in that case. Oh, where do you go? Oh, you go there. This is why these will be next. They stay on the project. I didn't do like any particular vine. Kind of went for a generic vibe. You can do whatever kind of leaves on it that you may want. I was just kind of looking for generic vine. It's like, yeah, that's a vine. Couldn't tell you what kind of plant this is, but it's a vine. Make sure that it doesn't make more knots on it. Forcing it to go through my fingers, which is a little bit of a dangerous game when you're using thinner yarn. Believe it or not, string can cut you. And you don't want to do that, you don't want to get hurt. Don't pull it too fast, otherwise you'll at least give yourself a rope burn. We don't want that either. This is running relatively smoothly, which is nice. Makes for a nice relaxing time. Although I'm sure it's more entertaining when I'm frustrated. This room now has a multitude of places for the cats to sleep in. Pillows on the floor, an entire couch that they can sleep on that's elevated even. Built them a miniature cat tree. Only miniature because it doesn't like, it's not very tall. It's only like 2 feet tall, maybe 3. And that's what the couch sits on. and they have like a little play tunnel cube thing that they like to sleep in and play in. So they don't try to get on this desk very much. This desk doesn't have a lot of space as it is. The desk I want to use does have a lot more space, but this room does not have space for that desk. We are planning to move in a year, less than a year at this point, I guess. Again, this time we're actually looking at purchasing a house. Not renting. That's going to be fun. It may take more than a year because there's not a lot of houses for purchase anywhere right now. All of the houses seem to have been bought up by management companies and are now being put out to rent, which is kind of annoying. Here, trying to prepare for a family and all of that fun stuff. Honestly, I think the stitching is going to make this a little more stiff. It'll add a little more shape to it. It'll be kind of nice. Because even like up here feels a little more stable, if you will. I had orange slices with my breakfast, and now I think there's a piece of orange stuck in my teeth, my back teeth. So I'm gonna have to floss after this video to get rid of it. I always hate when that happens. Being stuck in an awkward spot. We're getting into a nice rhythm with this. I feel like it's running a little smoother. We already went up the awkward side, so now we're going down, and it's a little less awkward to work on this edge. Pardon me, yawning. It was up until midnight last night, but I did sleep a full 8 hours, so I don't know why I'm so sleepy. Hey, my tea is a drinkable temperature now. It's not cold. Of making sure that I'm not catching anything from the other side. Make my stitches tighter. That helps everything be more flush. I think this hat in total took me 12 hours to make, so 3 work days. The pattern only cost me like $2. It was on sale. It was pretty cool. My leaf fell off again. So this video is probably going to be a full hour rather than 45 to 50 something minutes. Just so I can get as much done per video as possible. Apparently this one is going to be just sewing the vine on. Maybe a leaf. Maybe. Let me know if you guys like the longer videos or the shorter videos or something like that, and I'll see what I can do in the future. Every video is somewhat unique in that aspect because I don't know how long a project takes to put together until I sew it together. And I'm sitting here trying to fill the silence of this video. I do not have the editing skills to put music in the silence. I'm sure my editing program does that, but I don't know. I haven't tried. Probably not going to. Because I don't want to put too much in a video. We're already at the point where I would normally stop the video, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna hit the hour mark on this one. Because I don't want this to be another Total Mania where I have 4 videos an entire month dedicated to one type of thing. Although I did enjoy making those turtles. I might make some pie turtles for November. Because who doesn't love pie? But those are much simpler than the turtles I did in Turtle Mania. And there's a lot of parts that don't actually require sewing. I think the only part that requires sewing is if I make a lattice to go on top of a pie. But I have ideas for turning Stardew Valley chicken pattern into turkeys. I'll probably actually do those chickens and finish up that dice set that I started last month. Only got a couple more to do. And then I get to start on Christmas stuff for December, which I will probably start making Christmas stuff in November, but it will not be posted until December. We're still in October. I am actually recording this in October. Like the week before this particular video will be posted. Now, the video after this one will probably be finished 2 weeks before it's posted. Simply because I don't want to leave this project sitting here unfinished, and we'll probably try to record it all for the rest of today's. Because part of my costume is coming in from Amazon next week. I will be trying it on with these and seeing if anything returns. Or modifications, you never know. I also need to find my hot glue gun. Because not everything can be solved with sewing. As you can see, I've definitely used a lot of pins to keep everything in place. I didn't want this going anywhere. But so far I'm happy with it, with how it's turning out. almost done. We're almost back at the beginning here. Really made that a little short, but it's fine. Makes it more realistic, right? Got a little excited there. We're probably about 20 stitches away since everything is so little. Okay, and we are now going to catch everything from before. Every leaf that's up there is now being caught, I guess. And the table and the charms. We're just catching everything today. Like we're just getting the stem done, so I only have a couple minutes before we hit that hour mark. I don't want to make these too terribly long. We're just going to finish the stem, and then we'll call it good. And being careful not to snag the band here, just because I don't want it to look weird when I go back and sew it later, even though these pieces are going to eventually be attached. Alright, so we've reached the end here, or I guess back to the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and make our little knot. Now I'm not going to bother hiding the string, because it's just going to be shoved in here. We're just going to snip it shorter, not that long. We're going to save this for use later, probably with the flowers. I'm going to tuck that in, and I'm going to pin this back in place here. And then next video we'll go ahead and sew the leaves on and maybe hopefully get to the band. But I hope you enjoyed this video so far. If you did, give a like to the video if you want more content like this. Subscribe, and have a good one.